Hi, this is Alessio. Hope you're well. Just giving you a quick update on the markets before we head towards the elections, which of course is tonight. So I want to bring to your attention in this video, a very short video, a couple of important points that I want to make here. Firstly, I want to show you this chart of the dumb money. Again, these are the dumb money money managers. And this usually tends to be a good contrarian indicator at extremes. Now, you will see from this chart of the dumb money money managers that we're still above the panic extremes we saw in September. So when the stock markets dropped back in September, we did see panic, fear gripping the dumb money, the money managers out there. You can see it here on this chart. And we hit those lows back in September. But here's something interesting. Right now, as I'm making this video, the sentiment, the emotional sentiment among the dumb money, the money managers out there, is still actually quite bullish. Relatively, we're still above the September panic lows. So this means that there is not enough fear or panic at the moment in the markets among the dumb money. And here's an important point. We need to also remember that sometimes the dumb money can be our own emotions, our own irrational behavior. Okay, so it's not like the dumb money is always some mysterious entity out there. No, our own human emotions at extremes of panic or extremes of greed can also be a good contrary indicator what the dumb money is feeling out there. Okay, so emotions can be very important here. Bottom line is this, guys, the chart of dumb money money managers and this chart here, this is the bull minus bear ratio. So what this chart does, it subtracts the bearish sentiment from the bullish sentiment and you get the bull bear ratio. And you can see from this chart also the emotions right now, the sentiment among the dumb money is still relatively bullish when you compare it to the September lows. So this gives us some important information. Well, what does it tell us? It tells us that at the moment we're still not seeing the levels of panic, the levels of fear you would typically see at a market bottom. All right, guys. So I personally don't think at the moment, despite this drop we've seen in the stock markets, I still don't think we've reached a bottom at the moment based on these factors. Why? Because again, the sentiment, the emotional sentiment among the dumb money is not as bearish, is not as fearful as you would typically see. Again, if you recall, Warren Buffett famously said, when everyone is fearful, become greedy. When everyone is greedy, become fearful. So if you ask yourself this question, do we see right now a lot of fear and panic among the dumb money in the markets? I would say no. Again, as this chart shows, we're still above the panic lows, the panic extremes we saw in September. So what this tells us is that it's quite probable and perhaps likely that in the next few days and weeks, in the short term, we might see more volatility, more uncertainty, something happening out there in the world which could produce some kind of panic, some fear in the markets, which could drive the sentiment down, in other words, people panicking, and that actually might produce a much more reliable bottom in the markets. Again, I don't think we're there yet, and based on this, based on these factors, I still think it's quite likely we might see more volatility and potentially more downside in the stock markets, again, in the short term, in the next few days and weeks. Now, the most obvious thing which could cause uncertainty and volatility in the markets is the US elections. That's probably the most likely event that could produce that kind of volatility and uncertainty, which we see around election time. So again, I'm going to remain patient. And again, let's wait and see if something happens in the market, something happens in the world out there, which can produce that kind of panic and fear among the dumb money out there, among the money managers and among the folks out there, which could potentially shake out all the weak hands. Again, what we need to see is the weak hands out there being shaken out. We need to see the dumb money becoming so fearful that they're shaken out of the markets, okay? And I don't think we're there yet. So on the balance of probabilities, I think it's potentially likely that in the short term anyway, in the next few days and weeks, we may see in the month of November a bit more downside action in the markets to produce that kind of volatility, uncertainty, and emotional panic in the dumb money among the folks out there, which could produce that bottom in the market. So I'm going to remain patient and see what happens again in the short term in the next few days and weeks. By the way, I should just let you know that I spoke again with my uncle last night. And if you recall my previous video, I mentioned to you my uncle is a huge supporter of President Trump. He loves President Trump. And as you guys know, again, I'm impartial. I don't care about any particular party or candidate. But again, my uncle told me for the second time that if President Trump loses tonight and if Joe Biden wins, he's going to exit the market. He's going to sell all of his stocks. Now, I should mention to you that, again, I warned him that he should not make easy assumptions like that, but I'll come back to that point in a minute. But here's the thing. It occurred to me, a thought occurred to me, as I was speaking with my uncle, it came to me that if my uncle is feeling this way right now, then it's possible that a lot of people out there are thinking the same thing. I mean, it's possible many traders and investors who could be supporters of President Trump, they may do the exact same thing as my uncle tonight. And, if they see that President Trump's going to lose and Joe Biden wins, they might just press the panic button and just get out of the market. They might sell all their stocks. We often see things happening like this around the election time. If you recall, last time around, in the last election, 2016, during election night, election evening, when it became clear President Trump was about to win, yeah, a lot of people pressed the panic button and got out of the market that night. But again, the market recovered. The market did recover the next day. But there was a lot of panic and massive drop in the markets during the election evening itself. So I think let's be patient and let's see what happens in the next few days, especially as the votes are being counted. It may potentially be some volatility and uncertainty could introduce itself. Again, in the short term, the next few days and weeks, as we find out who is the likely winner and the reaction to that. So again, I think there are going to be people like my uncle out there who might just press the panic button and get out if they see President Trump losing. So bottom line is this, guys. I think that in the short term, in the next few days and weeks, expect volatility, uncertainty, and again, a lot of choppiness in the markets. And yes, I think potentially likely we could see more downsides, some more downside in the markets as well. But look, here's the bottom line. And I said this to my uncle on the phone last night, and I want to mention this to you as well. The fact is, even if this month, in the next few days and weeks, even if we see some volatility, uncertainty, and some downside in the markets in the short term, the fact is, guys, we need to remember the long term. The long-term picture, again, over the next 6 to 12 months still is bullish. Again, my outlook for the next 6 to 12 months is still bullish. Why? Because we're still in a long-term uptrend. If you look at this chart, going back to 2009, we're still in a long-term uptrend. And again, as the phrase goes, the trend is your friend until the end. But have we reached the end of the trend yet? I would say there's no evidence of that. I don't think there's any indication we've reached the end of this uptrend from 2009. So bottom line is, guys, that the long-term picture, the 6 to 12 month picture, still remains rather bullish. And I still think once this short-term volatility and this short-term panic and perhaps uncertainty, maybe some more downside, once it finishes in the month of November, I still think in the long-term picture, we're still looking potentially much further higher. All right, guys. So, and I think based on the probabilities, December could be potentially a very positive month. December usually is a positive month based on the Santa Claus effect as well. All right, guys, I hope this video helps, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video update. Cheers. Bye now.